WFUZ-TV, Coastal Alabama, Northwest Florida, the People's Voice. Good evening and welcome to WFUZ-TV. I'm Thomas Jenkins and I have with me Blair Castro, who is running for City Council in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Blair, everyone wants to know, why are you running?
Everyone wants to know that. I'm definitely running because, number one, nobody else jumped into this race and my opponent's been there for 25 years. The principle is we shouldn't have career politicians. We shouldn't have people in office for 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. That's way too long. And he may be a wonderful person and a very nice person and a person who has dedicated years of his life to service. And I really respect that. And I want to honor that past. But I also do not think we should be stuck in that in a way that doesn't progress with new voices. And it's the same people being heard over and over again. So when I saw that nobody was going to do it, I waited and I waited and I talked to people and they were like, well, just do it yourself. You know, why not? So that's kind of where I ended up. And the crux of the whole matter is overdevelopment within Gulf Shores. I really think that's what this election is going to boil down to. So are we going to elect new people that are willing to stand up and say, hey, this paradise is getting paved over to the point where there's hardly anything left. We don't have smart growth. We have clutter in the roads, clutter in the sewage, clutter with the traffic. You know, infrastructure's failing. Emergency services aren't accessible like they should be with the amount of population here. So who's going to stand up to the overdevelopment? How are we going to make development smart again? And if we keep doing the same thing we've been doing for 25 years and growing at this really fast pace, then we're not going to be able to handle that. So that's why I jumped in the race pretty much.
Why do you think that 25 years of experience is not necessarily a positive thing?
It's both. It's a positive thing and a negative thing. It's a positive thing in that it takes a lot to dedicate that much of your life to serving the community. And I'm not going to knock that. I really respect and I commend somebody for being willing to do that. But it's not like this is his only job or any of their only jobs, because it doesn't pay enough to be someone's only job, for one thing. But they're doing this in addition to having other interests, to being a realtor, to having interest in property or contractors or development too. So there's a lot of conflicting interests there. And we've come to a point where now this is a lot of new people coming to this area, new voices, and they're not being heard. The fact of the matter is, as much as my opponent or other people want to say, she's just making that up, it's misinformation that she reached out and nobody talked to her. It's absolutely not misinformation. It's 100% true. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. And I have receipts. I always have receipts and timestamps and emails where I called and emailed people. My first email was to Mayor Kraft. I wrote Mayor Kraft, introduced myself. It was in February. And I posted a screenshot of it the other day. And I said, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking to do. You know, been thinking about coming to Gulf Shores, getting a house here. How can I do this X, Y, and Z? Nothing. And opposite, did the same thing with Orange Beach. Invited over. Let me show you our amenities. Let me talk to you about what we're doing. You know, I'm only a phone call away. Come on in. The very different dynamic there between one city being very proud and wanting to show it off and being very open and transparent with what they're doing in government, to another city or a county. We won't even talk about the county and the sheriff's race, but we will talk about that, but in a separate thing. It was just very hidden. It was like under wraps and nobody wanted to talk about it. And the more I dug into it, I followed up with phone calls, city council, everybody. The only person at Gulf Shores that ever returned my calls or emails was the clerk, Toby. And she's awesome and she's very nice and she has a lot of information and does her job. She's the one person there who has been very communicative, but I had to kind of dig through to find her. And, you know, my first thought was go to the mayor, go to the council, but you really have to go into the day-by-day paid staff to get responses.
Yeah, I do want to insert here that it's not a unique experience that you're having. I've not only been privy to witnessing what you're going through, but also having had to deal with the local government, not necessarily in Gulf Shores, a little bit, and actually, you know, asked them to move a construction sign out from in front of a house. And it took several weeks, but it did get done. So that's awesome. But there is definitely communication problems. I've witnessed it myself in different county departments and municipal departments around this area. And that's what has launched us into this platform. That's what got us started here. And that also kind of got you more politically motivated as well as we started navigating the systems around here and seeing just failure after we try to get some basic things done that should be very efficient and quick.
Right. Is absolutely a huge lack of communication. And it's been interesting. I've worked in politics quite a long time for other people, mostly helping them get their voices out. I've always been a person behind the scenes who wants to amplify others who want to do good in the community. I've always been passionate about that, and I've enjoyed doing it. I never thought I would be trying to do it for myself. Never. That's just not who I am. I'm more of a behind the scenes person, but I felt compelled, and I felt like, the if not now, when, if not me, who, because after all my searching and talking to people, nobody was willing to step up. It really is a matter of who's willing to put themselves out there, because it's not easy. You're under scrutiny. You're under a microscope. You have people you think you're friends treating you badly. You don't know who your enemies and your allies are. It's very confusing to navigate. And you have to have a really thick skin to be able to do it, because you and your family are going to be slammed. You're going to be talked badly about. You have to be prepared for all of that. And thankfully, I've worked for some really tough cookies to the point where that doesn't matter to me. I don't care about that stuff, and I can handle anything negative that's thrown my way. Plus, I live my life really open and transparent, so I have nothing to hide.
Yeah, once you've had criminals shouting in your face everything that you could think of under the sun, and you have to just sit there and take it because that's the way it's designed to be, you also develop thick skin, and you can definitely dish it and take it equally. I would say my next question would be, what differences do you find in this political atmosphere in this race versus ones that you've experienced elsewhere?
Oh man, something's really on top of my head right now that I have to talk about. In this race, this is the first time, it's been about 4 years since we've had an election, 5 years in Alabama, 4 for, Escambia County, Florida. But there's so much AI going on in these Facebook posts and in these social media game. There's AI, like, people's ideas are not their own, which is why I'm so grateful that we have a platform to come on here and speak to a camera without a teleprompter and just say what's on our mind, because people are scripting it. And I am a college teacher, I'm a college professor of law. I can tell when someone's talking in AI. I scan every day for my students writing and seeing what they're saying, and if it's their own words. I'm a plagiarizer looker. And people don't talk like robots. And I've gotten to see, okay, they don't have an idea of their own. This is totally Chat GPT. So it's nice to be able to have that discernment, but also I worry about the general public not having that discernment, because people are plugging in whatever they want to say and just plopping it out like it's their platform point.
Yeah. Even today, you saw burner accounts and fake profiles that were trying to challenge you.
Yes, there's a lot of those. And those people online today, the things that have come against me so far have been kind of what I expected. You're not from here. You're not one of us because I'm from Pensacola. Okay, cool. I'm from Pensacola. It's 40 minutes down the road. It's not like I didn't ever visit this island or grow up around here. I literally did. And it's not like I'm not familiar with Gulf Shores or Orange Beach, because I very much am. It's like I would be going every day for long periods of time, or at least every weekend, even though I was living there, right, in the Perdido area. It's not that far away. It's not like another country.
Yeah. And one thing I just thought of, there's been a lot of anonymous participation in comment sections. And to those people, I want to say, honestly, kick rocks, because here we are on camera bearing everything. We were the ones walking into meetings and raising hell and trying to get things done. You want to sit there and hide behind a computer, you go right ahead, but you're a coward.
Yeah, anonymous posters are a new thing. So AI platforms, AI talking points, anonymous posters, which I guess is better than just disappearing and being a shadow mayor or a shadow person, because we seem to have government officials that are kind of like the way of Joe Biden, in that we barely see them. What are they even doing nowadays? They're just a figurehead, or they're just an anomaly out in space, a concept. Are they a real person? I don't know, because I've never interacted with them. And then they show up randomly, or have people show up for them, claiming credit for their accomplishments and things that they want to claim credit for, but at the same time pass the blame, and that I wasn't responsible, not us. But at the same time, oh yeah, the good parts were us.
Right. We've had some recent news about that, haven't we? Passing the buck.
Yes, it's there's all kinds of recent news, but I mean, most notably, Mayor Kraft passing the buck on that school, and the collapse of that pavilion from Rayburn, the contractor there who was building the Gulf Shore School, got raided by ICE. 27 immigrants, I believe, taken into custody. And it's a city project that they hired a contractor who hired a subcontractor, but it's not us, it's the subcontractor. It's still you. It's still a city schools being built.
Yes. And everybody's hollering for contractor accountability, which is 100% correct. Where is it?
Right. They're going to get angry at the immigrants for trying to work and provide a living and taking a job. I don't blame them. Everybody wants a job that pays good. But I do blame the contractors for not using E-Verify and for not doing their job in hiring American citizens like they probably said they were going to do in these bids. And that opens up something I talked about from our very first county commission meeting, the bidding process, and how unfair I thought it was, and how I had made, when I'm even offered a bid, it's so out of the realm to get it because I'm up against like best friends of the commissioners. In Escambia County, some of the commissioners own construction companies. Many of them are contractors, and it's like that here too. So you're up against people that are friends of friends, and they're always going to give the bid to their friend. The bid is just for show. It's not even a real process at this point. So I've kind of I still always bid when I'm available and able to, but it's so exhausting to put in that much work, go to a pre-bid conference, fill out the paperwork, do that, make your proposal, and then not get it and be told you don't have the experience or you don't have this, but the person who's been doing it 50 years, of course. I'm in my mid 30s. I don't have hundreds of years of experience. And how am I going to get that if I'm never given the opportunity? And I think a lot of young people our age and generation are struggling with that because we're being told this. And then, I don't know, it's just easy to say they're young and inexperienced, but how do we get that experience?
I want to circle back and say, because you said American citizens for the jobs, but also legal immigrants that are legal to work here.
Right.
Absolutely. 100%. Just want to make sure you don't want anybody to twist that around and anybody to say that, well, you only said American citizens, you only want a job for American citizens and you want all the immigrants to go away.
That's definitely not what
but that's definitely how people will try to twist it.
Yeah, I am very pro immigration, legal immigration. I have a heart for people who want to work. I've been in that position where I'm trying to work and where you want good jobs. I just don't think it's fair for a contractor to not be in trouble, but all these people demonized and sent away for doing what anybody would try to do and provide for their family. And then the contractors aren't held accountable. We need contractor accountability, and we need an open and transparent bidding process from our city government and our county government here too. And in Escambia. It's all over. The bidding is a joke. But anyways, that goes back to the point of people blame shifting. Everything on in the city seems to be blame shifting sort of. Accountability is not our fault. It's over there. It's over there. It's the Orange Beach. It's the county. It's the state of Florida. It's FDOT. It's ALDOT. Okay. But you're all working together. And the way I see it is this is in the city limits. It's something that affects your city residents. Then get on the phone with these partners and make it happen. Quit making excuses for it. You're the mayor. You're the city council person. You can call them. You can communicate. Why is that not happening? I wanted to talk a little bit about transparency and the willingness to have a debate. So
yes.
I would love to debate my opponent. I would love to see all of the candidates get together and have a debate, a mayoral debate, and all the city council people that are currently in office, all the challengers, anybody that wants to debate, I think should be given a fair forum to come together with the public and have that debate and talk about the issues with a neutral, fair moderator. I don't think having it at one challenger or one person specific venue is very fair, but it seems like there is no venues willing to do that, which is why we have this podcast in a way to allow people to have a voice, because where I come from, back in Pensacola over the bridge, there's the League of Women Voters and the Institute for Women in Politics and American Legion and all of these groups that will host debates. And that's awesome. And
people love to watch it. I would be very interested to see a local political debate. I've never seen one. I've only ever seen televised presidential debates, really.
They have one that's really popular on WSRE, the Public News Access Network, which is on Pensacola State College, where they would all come in, the state house people, the congressmen, and debate on stage. And it's really great. I don't know why we don't have something like that here in Baldwin County. I'd love to see it. And I'm putting forth an all call to any candidate who wants to come on this show. Number one, reach out. We want to have candidates on here. I don't care if you're an incumbent or challenger. If you're willing to come talk with us and share what you have to say, then cool. You are welcome here. We're supposed to be the people's voice, and we really stand by that. We're not trying to stifle anyone's voice, and that includes challengers. That includes anybody. So don't be afraid. We might not agree on everything, but this is a forum for people to debate and for people to share ideas and opinions. It's not a echo chamber.
Right.
I don't want an echo chamber. I want to.
No, that's not how progress is made. Right. Conversations are how progress is made.
And that's why we have some really great guests upcoming, the guests that we may not have even agreed with for a lot of things in the past, but they're willing to come on the show and they're willing to talk to us and they're willing to listen. And all I ever asked for, all you ever asked for in our first commission meeting or anything we've done was to be heard. And that is a recurring theme from residents all over Gulf Shores and Baldwin County. I want to be heard. I'm not being heard. I'm being ignored. Why is no one responding to my emails? Why is no one listening to us? Why aren't they being transparent? And even if you don't agree, listen. Everyone deserves that courtesy.
And when you're not heard, that's when you have to be absurd sometimes in order for people to start listening. Oh, he's acting way out of character. Well, Timmy must be in the well then.
Yeah. Sometimes, you got to be a little flashy. You might have to be a little, quote, vulgar. You might have to say things that ruffle a few feathers. But the same people that love that about our president get really offended when someone here locally does it. Which
sometimes honesty and truthfulness hurts.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not going to sugarcoat the language that you use to do it. I was raised by a 1950s sailor, and the woman that chose to marry that man, everyone has equal opportunity to catch this mouth at some point as, I deem it fit.
It's true, though. It's such a hypocrisy to say we love this man, for being so blunt and so honest. But then when our local people are blunt and honest, it's like, how dare you? Like, it's so uncouth. It's so weird. Why do you speak like that? And I don't think we really speak any sort of way we don't even speak it half as uncouth as our president sometimes. And people, nothing bad about him, but just talking about plain language in the way we're speaking. But what we're saying is offensive because we say, you're not transparent. We need communication from you. We demand better. And that's offensive to people. I don't understand why. I don't think it should be.
And since when did becoming righteously upset about something become rude? Just because someone is wrong about it doesn't mean someone's being rude because they need to raise their voice because someone's not listening or doing what needs to be done.
Right. It's not. People should be allowed to dissent. In the Supreme Court and in law school, we learned this from the very beginning. We often read dissenting opinions and they may not hold the legal weight of a regular opinion of a Supreme Court case, but for the law students studying and for things to get reversed later, and if it's a Court of Appeals dissent in particular, there's a reason the dissenters sit there and write a full opinion because the dissent is important, almost just as important as the core ruling. So that is something that is embedded into our system of law here in America. And it's something that should be embedded right down to the local level. Dissent. And keep it civil, keep it organized. Don't keep it nasty. Like you want to dissent in a way that is commendable to you, that allows you to stick by what you believe without attacking the person personally. But just dissenting on policy or opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we do.
It's downright civic duty.
It is. And just because you don't agree with the way things are run doesn't mean you hate this place or you're trying to crap on it and say, oh, I'm just so unhappy. No, I'm not unhappy. I love living here. It's why I chose to move here. It's why plenty of you watching probably chose to move here. It has great schools. It has beautiful beaches. It has great people that give a good vibe. It's very friendly. It's very great for people that are in the service industry and musicians and small businesses and families. There's so much good about it, enough to where it pulled me out of Escambia County. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean we bury our head in the sand, literally and figuratively, and say nothing can be done to make it better because there's plenty of room for improvement. And to not acknowledge that is simply naive.
Yes, we're not on autopilot, for sure. There's so many gaps and holes that we have personally experienced. We can't even sit here and make a list of them all. You'll get bored with us trying to list them.
It's really the bureaucracy and the red tape of it all. And I've always been a small government person who thinks the government should be out of our business, who's very libertarian in nature. And the more I'm involved in county, the more strongly I feel that way, in that the red tape is like nothing I have ever seen. It's like red concrete and it's impossible to break through.
It reminds me of all of the office workers on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's like that kind of hair-pulling madness where you're like, why is it this way? But people will sit there and say, yeah, they do that, but we don't sit there and blast it on social media. Why not? That's why it always will stay the same until you stand up and say something about it.
And that's why I've been making videos about the traffic and the cones and everything else, the stupid signage, the blockades, I guess, in a way, like all up and down the quote expressway, unquote, and other things that are just terribly planned around this town. And I make a video about it. That holds their feet to the fire. It helps push people towards accountability because now it's here for everyone to see. And now I'm calling it out. And they can't just say she never called, she never. No, I made a whole video and I tagged you in it and I shared it to a bunch of groups because that's the only way to hold them accountable is the power of social media and video, to be honest. It's not the only way, but it is a very great way because once I started doing that, things started actually happening. And that's pretty cool. So win or lose, it's still a win because we're discovering and learning how to navigate our government in a way where we can be effective. And a lot of that involves media, this show, getting on camera and talking about the things we see and allowing people to get in the comments and engage and giving people a voice that otherwise would not have a chance to come in front of a camera and tell their whole story without WKRG chopping it up into little pieces or, doing biased media coverage. Oh, and speaking of biased media coverage, we can talk about that too.
When you say biased media coverage as it pertains to?
It pertains to a lot of things, but in particular, me having run for office, one of the articles that came out about me highlighted, for example, some of my work helping the LGBT community when I was in law school. And I'm very proud of that work and I stand by that work. And one of the things I did when I was in Orlando was that I helped write and pass a domestic partner registry. This was in 2009 or 10, before marriage equality was even approved from the Obama administration.
You literally wrote legislation?
I did. I literally wrote the local ordinances and the legislation. I set up a benefit plan for county and city employees and a registry, which basically gave them the same rights as a married couple at that time because they couldn't get married. So this was very important. And it was like key, legislation at the time that people were fighting for. And I was really proud of that work and to be a part of it. And within my law school, I became a leader in this space. Actually was the president of our LGBTQ and straight ally group because that was something I cared about deeply, was helping in those laws passed, because I don't think anybody should be discriminated against. I don't think the government should treat people differently based on any characteristic like that. So I believe in that. And now they just wrote me as a extreme lefty, extreme liberal, all of that stuff, because I believe in equality. And I think most people that are our younger generation, sort of politically motivated people, are pretty moderate, and we're not like anti-LGBT people. That's
that's old republicanism. Yeah, we're starting to move away from that. We're not for hatefulness.
No,
at all.
It's appalling that that's being written as a bad thing to stand up for oppressed groups. It's definitely shouldn't be. And that doesn't mean that I'm out like doing far left or liberal things. I'm not. I'm still really conservative and generally, like I said, skew libertarian. I don't think the government shouldn't be involved in anyone's business, from their relationships to anything like that. It's not the government's place. Even like talking about the tree ordinance that someone brought up, I didn't know that if your own private property, you can't even cut down a tree in Gulf Shores without applying for a permit and going through zoning and getting that approved to cut down a tree on your own property.
That is apparently a hotly debated topic all over the island, not just in Gulf Shores. I've seen things in Orange Beach as well, where people were saying it's a shame that the trees are getting cut for the building, but they were over there wanting more development, it seemed like, in the chat sections. And that was interesting to me versus over here where it's kind of a not sure what the mix, but it's more at least 50-50, if not, skewed one way or the other, which I guess we'll find out at the end of August.
I really think that if it's your private property and the government is telling you what you can or cannot have on it, then that's a violation of your constitutional rights and that's un-American. But I understand if you are building a commercial area or something really prominent and the tree is like, in the public overview and it's hanging and it's a really ancient special tree. Like, there are exceptions to everything, of course, but generally speaking, you just own a residential lot and it's already in a subdivision or whatever, and you want to cut down a tree, then you should be able to do that. But of course, we want it to be reasonable, but a permit for every freaking tree that's over 6 inches in diameter or 12 inches if it's a certain type of tree, that just seems really excessive, especially because trees are a hazard for hurricanes and tornadoes and everything else. By the time you get it approved to cut down with all the red tape here, it could be smashed onto your house because there's a storm coming. So I don't think that's something we should be waiting on or is necessary. There's got to be a fine line between managing government overreach and our personal rights. And that
sounds like an insurance salesman wrote that rule.
I don't know who wrote it, but it's a strange one to me. And I really, I'm a small government person. That's all I can really say. And I think when the government steps in, it should be to protect people, and there's a time and place for it. And I don't think we should have overreach.
Yes. I don't want someone to walk up to me and say, I'm from the government, I'm here to help.
Right. And as we've been discussing with our series on DHR and other things, it usually is not, they're not here to help. They're not hardly ever here to help. They're here to strip away your rights and do harm, to be quite frank. And that's disturbing. Going back to the media bias. So this article is written about me and painted me as a very far left person because of one particular policy and one issue that I worked on that led to some real change in a county. And that's okay with me because, like I said, I'm proud of that work. But it's just funny how skewed it was. I'd never experienced that for myself. I've seen it happen to other people, but to just be misrepresented in a way like that was very like, that's funny. Like, cause that's not who I am at all. And it's funny because people sit there and say I'm too conservative, and then they sit there and say I'm too liberal. And I'm just a regular person in my 30s who's trying to make a difference and who cares. And we're so ambivalent and apathetic about government and civil duty and everything that I think I'm, kind of the exception, because there's not a lot of people that give a crap and that want to get involved and that want to care. So the fact that I do care, I think is great. I think more people should, because we would get things done and we wouldn't just be leaving it up to the old hats who are out there running the city. Like, we need to pay attention and see what they're doing and peek behind the curtain. That's the only way it's ever going to change, or we're going to be aware of things.
For sure. And again, who is the ultimate overseer of accountability for all of this? Who do we go to when we see a complete lack of service in the government around us when we're trying to get simple things done? We don't really still fully understand where we should go besides, maybe state ethics boards and stuff like that, from what we've been told, from what we've been asking around.
Yeah, it seems like when we try to go to the county, they say go to the state. And we try to reach out as the state, there's no response. We try to go to the city, they say go to Orange Beach, go to another city, go to Aldott, go to the county. And it's all like a big circle of nonsense. But I would really like to see all these entities working together for them to come speak to us and to have some sort of public forum or communication where we can ask questions in a more open way than having to write and call their office a million times and totally be ignored.
Or drive an hour. I drove an hour to Robertsdale day before yesterday, actually, to do my cottage kitchen stuff. Had all my papers in order, went there to turn everything in. And of course, the person is not there for the day. The first thing they tell me to do is come back. Why should I have to drive an hour one way in this god-awful construction just to get something done that can probably be done by email?
All of the stuff that we've been trying to do could probably be done by email. And it's ridiculous that you need to be there in person for something you could scan and just send to them. It's literally one form and, a certificate and some labels that you could easily send in an email to them or upload to a portal. Other counties and governments have portals for everything. The fact that we don't have one, I talked about this at the first commission meeting, and I will never stop talking about it until they have a freaking portal, especially like for the sheriff's office and jail and criminal records and things, records requests, the court system. All of this stuff should be in a portal for real. It's absolutely ludicrous that you can't have public records to access court documents and things like that. You have to subpoena for everything. It's wild.
Let's talk about the utility system. Let's talk about the time that the water got cut off randomly at 11:30 at night, and we weren't given any explanation. And then all of a sudden, the next day, about 7 p.m. or so, get a warning call that it's going to be cut off again due to the construction that's ongoing on the canal. Thanks for that heads up. Literally mid-shower, the water turns off randomly in the middle of the night like we're in a third world country. And then we've had all of these blackouts in the area. Without warning, all of a sudden your power's out. I was told by a resident that they had 4 hours of no power. That's a long time without warning. Let's have a warning system. Let's talk about Baldwin EMC. Why do you have to get just absolutely bombarded with phone calls? Why can it not be a text? You either take phone calls and have a full voicemail box, which you can attest to, or you opt out of notifications and you get nothing. If I've not found that, then somebody point me to it, but I did not see it. And I would like to see that instead of just, it would literally be a call to tell you that you're about to have your power cut off because you're, under $35. And then they would call you back and leave a voicemail letting you know, hey, you paid your bill. So wasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Make it text for the loves.
Yes, our utility system is completely overloaded. It's one of the many aspects of infrastructure that hasn't caught up with the development yet. So the other day, 438 people went out here because of Alderman EMC. 3-4 days later, I get a call, and 134 people up by my house have been cut off of power unexpectedly. And it's continuously happening because of construction. And, sorry, we're sorry about the maintenance, the routine maintenance. We have to delay. Okay, that stuff does happen, but this is the middle of summer. It is hot. People need their air conditioners. There are things melting. There are people melting.
Why y'all shut the street down for 3 days in the peak of the season? Why y'all do that?
Yeah.
Y'all know how many businesses y'all put behind in the peak of the season doing that? A lot.
I don't understand the timing of stuff. And that has to do with all the development. I don't understand why you would put up a roundabout and no lights without the lights first. I don't understand why you would put that extra lane going towards the beach, but not one coming back from the beach on 59. I don't understand why you would throw up townhouses behind the Wind Creek subdivision after residents went and complained about sewage potentially backing up and all the sewage overflow. I don't understand the septic and sewage situation right here and why it smells like crap all up and down the canal and over by the beach and over by the Fort Morgan former sludge pond and all these other areas. I don't understand why the utilities are not caught up before we stop building more subdivisions and whatnot. We cannot keep building and building without expanding the utilities. And I know that water company is working on that now. They're on a plan to double the capacity, but let's double it. And then let's talk about building more subdivisions. It's a timing thing. Not saying don't ever do it. I'm saying the timing, let's finish it first. And then we start the building again. Right now, that's just not working. And we're never going to catch up. It's like we're always going to be 2 steps behind.
I literally drove the wrong way through a construction zone because the cones were set up incorrectly on the way to a commission meeting where they were awarding a safety award to the construction crews. It's that bad. And I've been driving since I was 13 years old to my farm job that my dad got me for my 13th birthday present. That was my 13th birthday present, was working on a farm. And I've been driving a long time, never drove the wrong way in a construction zone. That was the icing on the cake on the way to that meeting.
The irony of it all. It's the more we became exposed to, and the great thing about running for office now is that people will come up to me and tell me their plight and the things they're dealing with, and they're happy to share. And a lot of them are scared of retaliation and whatnot too. And we've been experiencing that this whole time. And I am glad that we are trusted enough to people to come forth with their issues. And I hope to be a voice for all those people who are currently sort of timid and sort of wary about it because they're afraid of being retaliated against. I think that's one thing I have to offer that the other candidates don't, is that I really don't have any business ties in this community. I live here, but I don't necessarily work here. I work remote and I work with clients all over the country. So no matter where I live, I can still earn a living and generally be pretty successful. And my teaching job is in Pensacola, so I'm willing to commute for that or teach online. It's not like I'm tied into, I don't have any direct benefit from being on city council here. The only benefit is to make our quality of life better and to make a better life for our family. It's not to do anything about myself. You're self-interested. How am I self-interested?
You're the most legit grassroots candidate, probably, period, in this whole race.
I have the least amount of business interest, that's for sure.
Literally for the concern of what we've seen. We talk about it constantly.
Yeah, I have been we both have for a very long time now. Even before this, I talked about it in Pensacola, and I never ran, I never jumped in because I always believed in someone else. And I always thought, well, they can handle it. They can do it, even though I lived there forever. And this is the first place where I'm like, there is nobody willing to do it. There is nobody I believe in that can go handle these issues. So I had to step up because otherwise I don't really think anyone else was going to, and there wasn't going to be change. And regardless, win or lose, I now feel that I'm not being ignored and that we have a voice. And that's a win in and of itself, because no matter what happens, I'm going to keep fighting and holding their feet to the fire and raising a stink and being a little obnoxious when it comes to calling out flaws and things, because that's what we should do. We should demand the best of this government in this city.
We do. We're the sixth fastest growing county in the nation. We need to have the systems to show for that.
Yes, it is. It's going back to the police too, and the cybersecurity type stuff that we were talking about. We had a whole incident with the Gulf Shores police. I started digging into that. And if you look at the news every day, there's a predator or something getting arrested in this area. There was somebody human trafficking people through Gulf Shores.
They came from Ukraine explicitly to pick up someone from Gulf Shores.
And there's people that are sex offenders getting released right back out. They're in there like a month or so. It's every day we see it. So the cybersecurity plan I have, the predator-proof plan, is about using AI decoys. It's about being proactive and making this a community. And no, we can't constitutionally be like, you're a sex offender, you can't live here. But we want to create a culture where we pretty much are like, you're a sex offender, don't even think about living here.
You're saying you're doing like a robot to catch a predator, Chris Hansen kind of thing?
Yes, that's what the AI decoys are. And it's all about being proactive and using software to track people down before they have a chance.
To the wood chipper.
Yeah, we want to not give them a chance to harm a real child. Go after the AI decoys and let us pick you up. And we've got the technology now to have AIs in these what's happening groups. Oh, what do you like about the beach? Like, how about we have AIs going after the criminals and the people that are hurting our kids? That's what I want to see AI doing. AI has a great place. And if we set it in the right direction to help us with crime, then I think that's wonderful.
You work with AI every day, don't you?
I do. And I know what it's capable of. And it would be really great to have those capabilities within. And maybe they're working on stuff like this. And maybe, this things I'm not aware of. I looked online to find the Gulf Shores Police annual report, and I had not seen one in a few years published. So there wasn't one for 24 or 23. I think it was 21 or 22 when the last one was published, to try to get the stats for how many calls were going in, all of this. And maybe I'm just not privy to where that information's at, but it is really hard to find. And that's the kind of thing that needs to be out in the public, easily accessible.
Yes, the ease of access is the main issue.
It is. There should be a dashboard. This is what I helped build in Pensacola, was a homeless dashboard for resources for the homeless. How many, calls are coming in. The sheriff's office there has calls, what's a battery? What's this? You can see it pop up on the map. We don't really have something like that as far as I know. And I have looked, and it would be cool in the city to see where calls are coming from, where the wrecks are, like different things.
This is one of the things you included in your email of suggestions that you would like to see the city have, correct?
It was for the county, but yes.
For the county, yes.
I did come to the county with this, and that still is a little bit in play. I might be having conversations with the county about that soon, which would be wonderful, because I think there's especially with the sheriff's office in Baldwin County, but they have, they were told not to respond to me, that I would go away. So I don't know how lucky we'll have there, but, maybe we'll have a new sheriff soon, and those things will actually start to get accomplished, which would be really great.
Either way, we just want things accomplished. We don't want to be railroaded or cast aside or treated as outsiders. We live here, literally. And
I'm willing to offer all these ideas and stuff and not say, well, it was my idea, somebody else took it. Good. I hope somebody takes it. I just want the ideas placed into the zeitgeist so that become reality. I hope my opponent, if he's in office and not me, takes the ideas at least and runs with them. And I hope he'll be willing to meet with me and be like, this was a good idea. I'd love to get that forth for you. Because I don't care who does it. I don't want the credit or the glory. I just want the predator-proof plan. I just want, another thing we were talking about the other day is that, so a lot of people avoid the sex offender registry by doing a short-term rental or an Airbnb. So that way they don't have to register because they're not updating their address. So you think, there's not that many registered sex offenders here. I looked it up and it was, I believe, 36 just in the 5-mile perimeter of my house. But you're not even including the 1,000 unmappable offenders in the state of Alabama or any.
Yeah, that blew my mind when you showed me that. Yeah. Unmappable offenders.
So they also are in Airbnbs and short-term rentals, and that's a ton of what's around here, or living in the hotels. We have like 4 or 5 hotels that are, just sitting out there that people live out of. And there's just so much going on that people like to put their head in the sand and pretend isn't happening, but it's happening.
Who are the ankle bracelets for then? How do we have unmappable offenders like that?
I don't know. There are people that don't have an address on file because they're homeless for the most part, but transient communities.
Yeah, but we just keep seeing these articles constantly, and it's Baldwin County, it's Fairhope, or is it Fairhope? Yeah, I think Fairhope, Foley, Spanish Fort, Mobile. Just, I can't even, the algorithm will block me, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a lot, especially out of Foley. And it's just scary to think about that being all out here around
It's all
our
over the
children,
place,
around
yeah.
our schools, and nobody's doing, I mean, they're doing things about it. They do have a cybercrime unit. They do have people working on this, but we can up it. And it's not, it's going to be up to the city council and the mayor to give them the funds to get the technology to do this. And that's
right. We're not saying there's ineptitude. We're saying there's lack of resource.
Yes, they need more money and a special unit for this. They have the Marine unit now. We need a special unit for these sort of cyber things. And that also needs to do public information. So I was talking to people about the Hangout, some stuff that goes on there. There was somebody recording people there. It's there's predators out
that was
there
crazy.
as well. And we're digging into that and doing more research.
The allegations against the owner of the
Yes.
Hangout too. And there's a lot of people that don't even know about that. And it's kind of being said that it's being swept under the rug. And again, just more stuff that the algorithm would block us for. But, go look it up.
Yeah, we want to pull back that rug and we want to shine a light on it and see all the roaches scatter. That's what I said, and that's what I mean. And I am standing by that no matter who that hurts, or if they're a big wealthy person with a huge business interest. I don't care. I think they need to be exposed. They need to be stopped, because we're never going to have a safe community that's really predator proof if we're not willing to do that. And I say all this speaking from experience with dealing with perverted predators myself. I've had to deal with it, and I know what it's like, and it sucks, and it's terrible, and no family should have to be put through this. And I'm willing to fight for that and, die on that hill if I have to. But whoever is in office, old person, new person, it does not matter. I hope to God you look at this predator-proof plan and that you help us build that culture that I'm talking about, where they're afraid to set foot in Gulf Shores. That's all I want to see happen if one thing gets happening. So, opponent, I know you're out there probably watching this. I do want to meet with you. I do want to work with you on this stuff, no matter who wins or loses. I think you're a good person who also probably has the best interest of our community at heart, in your heart. So I don't think we disagree fundamentally on what needs to be done. I think we just have a different approach on how to do that. And that's not a bad thing. People should have options on how they want problems resolved and who they think is the best person to resolve the problem. And I don't think that's, negative or positive. It's just a choice, just an option. So.
Well, here's an important question. Are you pro or anti food truck?
I'm generally pro food truck. But of course there's exceptions to that too. But I definitely like food trucks. We have great food trucks in Pensacola. When I came here, I was like, where's all the food trucks? I think there'd be so many perfect places to see a really great food trucks pop up.
For sure.
Meyer Park, for one. Stay tuned for WFUZ's guests for the month of July. We have some really awesome guests. Like, the guests are getting just more and more exciting as we go on. I have county commissioners coming, candidates for office. We have people in the community, business owners that are really awesome and really funny, great people, musicians. We have just so many different things happening. When I tell you, we have one elected official who's currently in charge of a city who's going to come on here. So
how vague, but intriguing.
Yes, you will want to see these episodes. You're going to love it. In Men's Warehouse, you're going to love it.
And thank y'all so much. I mean, we've reached over 100,000 views in a very short time. We really appreciate y'all's watching and supporting and interacting, commenting, sharing, and everything that y'all do, and cheering us on. Everything that you do helps. So thank y'all so much. And we hope y'all have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon.